Happy Friday, traders. It's 8:01 a.m. Chicago time on Friday, the 25th of October, 2019. Thanks for showing up today. It is episode number 1625. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This morning, the markets are kind of just rotating, not seeing anything outstanding just yet. The ES continues to battle with the 3,000 level. The overall sentiment is risk off, but I would say that it's a mixed bag. Really, it's just slightly risk off. The gold is again popping higher, 1,517. Silver shot up as well. Gold's up $12.90 from yesterday's settlement. Again, up 0.86%. The bonds are up 10 ticks. The dollar's up uh, 9 cents, 8.5 cents, and the 10 years are up 3.5 ticks. Crude is coming off after an impulsive day on Wednesday following inventories and a push higher on a continuation day yesterday. It's pulling back a little bit. It's the weakest of the bunch. Trading at 55.90 on the December contract, down 34 cents or 0.6%. Of the indices, the NASDAQ is clinging on to being green for the day, up a point and a quarter, which is about, I don't know, a seventh of a rotation or something. So it's just barely up. The S&P is just barely underneath its settlement price from yesterday. It's down a point and a half from its settlement. So you can see that we're starting out today with a kind of a pretty stuck market, and in this environment you have balance that leads. It's likely to lead to imbalance. Something is going to come through, potentially a an offshooting tweet about something or other to move this thing along. So that's what we're seeing this morning. In terms of what's scheduled for today, we did get some numbers out of Germany this morning. Both were okay. GFK, consumer confidence, and IFO business climate, pretty big numbers. Those came in okay. And then in the U.S., we're looking for Michigan sentiment final, which is not a mover. The prelim usually is, and that's where we stand. Um, Coming into the weekend, not seeing anything for Sunday night for the Asian markets. And then, of course, the theme here is turning to earnings. Lots and lots and lots of earnings coming through. But the market's still in a holding pattern, waiting for something to come out of the U.S.-China trade negotiations. China, conceded a little bit to buy $20 billion of ags yesterday. The market's also watching Brexit and what happens there. There's a lot to process, but right now we're in a holding pattern. This is where we stand. So for the rest of the day, there really isn't all that much to look at. Let's do a review. I want to make this short and sweet. Yesterday, we were opening in a gap right up against the naked point of control left behind on was it Wednesday, Tuesday. Tuesday, we popped higher above the balance that we've been in at 3008 with the high of 3008. We popped above there, we opened above there, and we went sideways for what was an absolute kind of a ice scratcher um, session where it was just pretty dead. And then we ended up selling off later in the day in what looked like an impulsive move. The next day ended up, and I circled it here, the next day ended up putting a lower low, which is what we would expect, pulling back towards 3,250, and then making a higher low for a push into the targeted 3,650. We got to 3,006. Yes, so yesterday with the gap up into that balance, I was looking for an open auction that is likely to attempt to fill in the gap zone below. but overall, I was looking for it to break the 3,014 level, which we tapped up against quite a bit on, let me see, so on Tuesday. We tapped up quite a bit on Tuesday. I expected a pullback continuation of 30.20 above. Barring that, I would see that right off the open, we would get the break of the 3014, and then the market becomes responsive and then starts moving into the prior day's range. And that's scenario two. I was looking for 3003 on the low as marked on yesterday's Trader Bite chart. Here's what actually happened. That's the preview to our wonderful movie. Here's what actually happened. We immediately pushed to 30.15 and a quarter. We got a pretty kind of disappointing um, shove through the liquidity there at 3014. And there was more liquidity at 3015 through 3016. And the market turned around. The buyers just didn't have it, did not have the energy to turn around, became responsive, and we started to follow scenario two. Scenario two was looking for a push down into the range, um, push down into the range, looking for 3003. Really, what it did is it went right to the point of control, naked point of control from the prior day, from Wednesday, consolidated, finally poked through the IB low, so we have range extension down, and then from there, pushed right back out of the range. So this area set us up. This area set us up a little bit for a short, the prior high, the prior day's high, and the mid VWAP, the prior close. It kind of consolidated and then squeezed right through for a loss there, and then we had the pullback, double top, local double top, and then we get this impulse down. So yesterday afternoon or late morning's action was pretty rough. It just seemed that it seemed to make good impulsive moves, but no follow through. So you can see this impulsive move here, and then it's just not able to take out that prior high on this rotation, and then we turn this into an impulsive move down. So now we're looking for a pullback to somewhere. It went to mid. So an impulse down mid, this is a classic setup. And then looking for an extension below that impulsive move low. Nope, we're going to walk it back up. Look at the profile on this. Let's clean this up so we can only see the profile. Look at the profile on this. The profile shows that a fair amount traded up at the top, but really it wasn't well participated. And then we get this kind of um, funky looking profile. Actually, it looks like somebody kind of with their mouth open singing. To be honest with you, maybe I'm just tired and seeing things, but um, what the profile is saying is uh, the market is trying to balance, but what it's getting is equal price discovery through the range. And so we're not having as much consensus as we would in balance. It is working very hard. It looks like the price discovery process is working very hard to find that balance, and actually is unsuccessful because the profile doesn't show a clear area of acceptance. So it shows multiple high volume nodes through the range. So very odd way to close the day, to be honest with you, given that there wasn't really much news to kind of do this. Very odd trade. It looks to me from the way the action was taking place, it looked to me like both sides were activated. As prices went lower, buyers wanted to step in. As prices went higher, the sellers were pretty confident that it's not likely to go higher. The overall volume was very, very poor. Was very, very poor. I mean, well, it was relatively poor. It basically showed. Oh, let me put that back. It basically showed that overall, it's just 862,000 yesterday, or the day before that, 779,000. Just seems like there's less and less participation as prices are lingering here. Let's move on to the overnight session, which basically shows us that we're banging away on this. We're banging away on this 3,000 millennium level, and there it is. It's just sitting there. We're approaching that level now. 3,000 and 3,000 and a half is what's trading. I don't see very much liquidity there currently. Take a look. This is ctbookmap.pro. And I don't see very much liquidity there. You can see the liquidity is kind of flashing in and out, turning orange and blue and orange and blue. That's fake. It's likely to run right through and into the prior day's low at 98.75. Um, I'm not. I can tell you that I'm not liking the trade the way it is currently. It is not well organized in my opinion. So that's what we have. Let's go back to the overnight, finish up there. That's what we have. The overnight sessions shows very poor volume. I mean, it's really 133. It's starting to approach the quote unquote normal volume in the overnight session, which is about 110 to 150,000. But it's clearly not doing a very good job in price discovery. It's doing a very good job balancing. There's a lot of acceptance in this area here, and we keep fighting this 3,000. To me, it looks by the number of taps in the 3,000 area, it looks to me that we are likely to run through. This is set up, and given the way we rejected the prior high, the most recent high that we've made, you notice like these most recent highs tend to get sold. The way we rejected the most recent high, we're likely to advertise prices lower to entice buyers. Remember, the market pushes in one direction until it finds the opposing force, and then it goes in the opposite direction. Hopefully you can hear me loud and clear, and you're following what the story is, the narrative. We'll call it the market narrative, and the overall process. That's what's important. That's what leads us to grow as traders and to put on our trades with a little more confidence. As we understand the story, we can understand where our stops should be and act accordingly. Looking at the overall liquidity map, again, this 3,000 area, you could see it flashing in and out, orange, blue, orange, blue. Not expecting that to hold, not expecting that to hold at all. And I'm looking for it to kind of make its way down into the next stock zone in the 29.94 and a quarter area. Some liquidity at 95, some liquidity at 93.75. And that's the direction I'm looking for. Now, I'm not here to color your bias in your bias in one way. I don't want you to think, oh man, it looks like he's making a good argument for short. Let me just close my eyes and get short. Remember, you are solely responsible for your trades, but what I'm saying is that it's just not doing a very good job staying at higher prices. So as the buyers gain territory, they're just not hanging on to it. We can see that in the volume scope right here. Uh, we're going sideways from yesterday's close. This is overnight. I mean, the overnight session hasn't accomplished very much. Not many rotations, so we get very few bars. This is a one tick by 8 point and figure chart with a footprint overlay. Okay, that's a mouthful. But you can see that as we push higher, we've got good delta. We've got good delta on this push higher in the overnight session on the European Open. This column is fairly blue in color, right? And we finished near the high. So the finish was pretty good on that push up. So we only lost 145 contracts on the pullback with a push higher on 15,000 contracts of volume. That's pretty bullish. But what happens right after? It rotates all the way back down. And then we ended up putting higher highs these dots, these little dots come up when we have a higher high with a negative delta on the bar. Higher highs, to me, this looks like it is an unhealthy discovery higher. It's not likely to hold, and boom, it spills its guts right there. Um, this is why I'm not trying to, I want to stay as kind of open to both sides as possible. But to me, it just looks like buyers are just backing off. They're not seeing good, a good argument for hanging on and buying more. And so the market, the price is allowed to fall. So that's what we're looking at. In terms of what's expected for today, first of all, I want to remind you that it is like Friday. Please take a moment to, what's going on here? Please take a moment and hit the like button. Find the like button on YouTube and hit it. If you're on Periscope, just hit the little heart thing as many times as you like. Um, it's like Friday, so just take a moment. It might ask you to log in. Please do so and kind of cast your vote. What are we doing today? What are we likely to do today is what I should say. I don't know what we're doing today. Today, I'm looking for an open auction that's fairly kind of, I don't know how to describe it other than crappy in nature. If we get some responsive buying up, which is the kind of the natural uh, inclination of the market in this situation, we're opening in range out of value. If we get a push up, not expecting it beyond 3006, I'm looking for an impulse down to take out this 3000. I'm looking for it to test the next key area, 94 and a quarter, and then make an attack on the low of the week, which is 29.8975, before we get into the close and into a bounce. So overall, my view is a push higher. My view is a push higher would likely be weak and would likely be sold. Okay. The secondary is we open and the market's just ready and rigged, and like many of us in here, see the short side is more advantageous. And in that case, we would get almost I don't want to call it an open drive, but potentially a two-way auction with a very strong downward skew. And we are likely, I would not fade this. We are likely to just push and push and push for the session. Just grind down, take out stops, grind down, take out stops into scenario two, which will likely translate into not a high speed or high volume uh, trend down day, but more likely kind of a drive, a push down, a selling with some conviction. Scenario three is the fake out, shake out play, which is we open, we ping out this 3000 level, get down in here, and then we impulse up back into the 6000 and push right back into 3008, 3009 and go sideways before squeezing the shorts. Remember, we are still, let's not lose sight here. We're still at near all-time highs. The all-time high is 30.31. We're trading 3,000. That's just 30 points. You're talking about 1 day of closing volatility sigma currently based on 20-day close to close volatility sigma. That's just one rotation. The sigma right now is about 28 and a half points. We could get to that all-time high within a session, but it's not doing a very good job discovering higher and holding on to those prices. So I'm expecting that if it does push up, it is likely to see a fair amount of action from the sellers, delta kind of squeezing down. Notice yesterday, although we left the open, and I'm going to use a different color just so I'm not confusing things, and I need to let you go here. Even though the open was right up here, and we tested up and pushed down since, the equivalent price, the equivalent value to the open in the delta is 0, because this thing resets at the market open. And look at the delta yesterday. For something that has sold off a fair amount, there was just very very lazy participation by the sellers even. So you could see that the delta really didn't get very far, negative 10,000 as the worst case. But at the end of the day, the delta was at zero, which is the equivalent of 3013.75. This just tells me that there's just no participation here. There's no conviction in either um, there's no conviction in either side, and so that's what I'm seeing, and I'm thinking today's likely to be a continuation of that. We're not anticipating huge news all over the weekend, but overall, I'm going to be watching very suspiciously at first, and remember to be a trader, not a forecaster. Be a trader, not a forecaster. Have ideas, have plans, but flip. If the conversation flips, you need to flip with it. Good luck today. I'll catch you Monday morning. Take care.